Hey, you may be wondering what that was all about. That was a CQ that was calling all radio amateurs. This session is called How to Reinvigorate and Grow Your Ham Club. And my name's Countess. I'm going to answer some questions for you about how to reinvigorate and grow your ham club, but not just ham clubs. This can apply to any type of association, homeowner association, chambers of commerce, just about anything you can think of. Ready? Let's go. As I mentioned, my name is Countess. My ham radio call sign is KN2D. I'm owner of the Countess Group, or kenisemail.com. We're now in our 23rd year. I'm Constant Contact's top training partner, and I'm active also on Alignable, BNI, Business Networking International, and I also have a podcast, which I hope you'll listen to. It's the Everything Email Podcast. All right, let's get into it. I was first licensed way back in 1970. My call sign back then was WN2MSF. I'm the son of a ham. My wife and one of my sons are hams. I've been a contester. I was in the novice roundup when I first got my license. I was in CQDX Worldwide. I've participated in field days. I've been a member of 4 different ham radio clubs over the years, and each of them gave me a little bit more insight into what ham radio was, the social aspect of it, fellowship, and so on. This is a picture of my high school shop teacher with the guy who was running the local division of the ARRL, American Radio Relay League. And I mentioned Field Day. That is, if you're not familiar with ham radio, this is a contest where we all go out and on emergency power contact as many ham radio stations as we can. And what you see here is one of the stations we used, one of the antennas we used. That was one of my fellow classmates up on a tower, pretty high up in the air. And we used emergency power, a generator. That was the ham radio station I had as a kid, and this is what my ham radio station looks like today. But let's talk about how to reinvigorate and grow your ham club. The fact is that during the pandemic, where we became remote or virtual, in many cases, ham radio clubs just stopped operating. And the same was true of other on-site meetings. Chambers of commerce didn't meet. Trade associations didn't meet. Many went virtual or remote, and some didn't do anything at all. And now here we are several years after the beginning of the pandemic, and a lot of these clubs and associations are trying to figure out, how do I get my membership re-engaged? How do I get members back? How do I grow my association? So that's what I'm going to answer. You may be wondering, by the way, if you're a ham or if you're not very familiar with ham radio, how big is it? And is the hobby really growing? Well, the fact is there are 750,000 hams in the U.S. That's up over 70,000 since 2010. There are over 2,000 ham radio clubs in the United States. So my question is, well, how is your club doing? Think about that for a moment. How is your club or association or even HOA? How's it doing? Are people really engaged and involved? Let's talk about how to reinvigorate and grow your club. Every successful club engages its members and strives to continually attract new members. So what does your club or association do to engage its members and attract new members? Well, let me give you the secret sauce. The secret sauce is engage your membership in activities. If they just write a check and that's all they do, they're not very engaged. They may be able to say that they're a member, but what does that really mean? So when you do get new members to whatever your association is, make sure that you quickly reply to any emails that a new member sends you. And use a friendly tone. Don't be corporate sounding. And by the way, regularly check your spam or junk folder, because it's possible that these new members are sending email that's winding up in those folders too. So make sure you check on those. Make sure that you hold regular in-person meetings. Depending on the type of association or organization you may have, It may be weekly or monthly. Quarterly is probably on the outside of it being okay. And for different kinds of clubs, social clubs for instance, weekly meetings may be better. But in all cases, programming is really, really important. You've got to make sure that you're not just throwing things together, because that's going to get people disappointed when they show up if it's not a well-organized and, by the way, well-promoted program. Have great presentations at every single meeting. Don't leave it to chance. Make sure you set up these programs well in advance. I know of a few clubs that actually set up their annual agenda, so their monthly meetings, a year in advance, to make sure that they're getting great content and the people that are delivering the presentations know that they're on the hook to deliver something of value. After all, that's going to help them. It's going to help you as well. So now let's talk about specifics. Let's get into true program ideas. And again, this applies to ham radio or any kind of association you might be a member of, Chamber of Commerce, you name it. The possibilities are endless. But focus on different aspects at each meeting. Don't repeat the same things over and over and over again. In ham radio, you might talk about contesting. You might talk about emergency communications, storm response, hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, natural disasters, public service and volunteerism. That is the crux of many organizations, whether it's ham radio, Rotary, Kiwanis, Chambers. Public service and volunteerism are very important aspects, and people like to get involved, and they will if you simply ask them to get involved. It could be on-site communications, for instance, for 5K races, or 10Ks, or marathons. You get the idea. Other program ideas. Bring in a guest speaker. It doesn't have to be a member of your organization. In ham radio, it can include things like Aries or Skywarn, or maybe antenna lectures or radio history. Here's an example. The Upper Pinellas, Florida Ham Club, which has 85 members, had a few people come in and do presentations virtually via Zoom. Tim Duffy of DX Engineering, I understand he put together a great presentation. Bob Heil of Heil Sound also came in via Zoom. They did demonstrations virtually. Here's another idea for you, no matter what kind of group you're in. Have an auction with a portion of proceeds going to the club or to a charity. Other program ideas. Maybe go on a field trip. Maybe visit a local radio or TV station. Go to an electronics firm or a police communications center. They love to show off what they've got and also educate on their capabilities. Maybe have a radio trivia game. Ask questions relating to radio, with prizes for the most correct answers. Other program ideas. Again, no matter what kind of an association you're a part of. Have a show and tell. Have members bring in items and describe them. Maybe in ham radio, have a homebrew night, meaning have members bring in a radio construction project and describe it, or maybe they need help with it. Maybe you have several members who are working, they're tinkering. That's what hams like to do, right? They may be tinkering. Have them bring in their stuff, and maybe the rest of the members can help them solve the issue. QSL night. If you're not familiar with ham radio, QSL is a confirmation that two radio stations were talking to each other. And we show off the cards of QSLs. Those are things we become very proud of. And we can tell stories related to that contact. Other program ideas. Demonstrate different modes of operation. In radio, AM, FM, single sideband, CW, packet, you see the list here. You can have somebody give details of new modes, how they work. Some technology updates, because technology, no matter what field you're in, technology is always changing. How about equipment reviews? Have owners of new ham equipment bring it in and describe it and maybe evaluate it. Other activities can include contests. I mentioned Field Day, and there's CQ Worldwide, where you talk to hams around the world. The ARRL sweepstakes, that was one of my favorites when I was younger. Fox hunts, emergency drills, social nights. Just get the families together. Have antenna parties. Maybe someone is looking to raise a new antenna on a tower, and maybe the club members will join in and participate and help out. Have a picnic, something over the weekend where you can get more people involved, have families bring their kids, makes for fellowship and community, and it really begins to connect the membership together. Other program ideas, maybe show a video. Here's one of David Letterman. I'll show a small portion of it, but here he's interviewing somebody on the David Letterman show, a 6-year-old who became a ham.
Our next guest is one of the youngest licensed ham radio operators in the country. I can barely use a telephone. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 6-year-old Veronica Harrington. Veronica, are you? Wow. Hi. Hi. Nice to see you, Veronica. How you doing?
Fine.
Yeah? You're 6 years old?
Mm-hmm.
You go to school?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So that was David Letterman. That interview ran about 5 minutes long, and you'll be able to find it on YouTube. The thing about that interview is, number one, you see that you can be any age, from 6 to 60 or 80 or 90 if you want to be a ham. It's a great hobby that people enjoy throughout their lifetimes. And they later in that clip, they actually did a contact with someone on the radio. So it's a pretty interesting clip. Once again, you can find it on YouTube. Other program ideas. Have your membership suggest programming. Learn what they like and what they don't like and the kinds of things that they love to see. Create committees. You know, when you're involved in a club, it's not always up to the leadership. You have people attending your meetings that probably have some wonderful ideas. And if you just ask them to participate, create a committee for any number of things. It doesn't just have to be about programming. It can be cleanup, setup, agenda, you name it. There are lots of ways that people can get involved if you just ask them. Have planning meetings for upcoming events. Here, for example, is the one of the ham clubs in my local area. I'm in Orlando, Florida, and this is the Lake Monroe Amateur Radio Club, and they put out a big calendar. You can find it online with a whole list of events that the club has organized this for the upcoming several weeks. Ham radio and many groups and associations and social clubs are all about fellowship. Help newcomers. That's often a great opportunity to demonstrate fellowship. Welcome them. Have them feel like they're a part of this new great group. In the case of ham radio, as I mentioned before, you can have groups that help erect antennas. VE stands for Volunteer Examiner. Maybe you can have events where you're troubleshooting other people's equipment. I mentioned social events. You can sponsor ham fests. Hamfest is basically a flea market where people can bring their older equipment and sell it, and maybe use that as a fundraiser for the club to generate more income. And one of the great ways that you could have your club get more people involved is to demonstrate or provide emergency communications. Let's talk a little bit about membership growth. The way people join groups is when they find out about it, right? So promotion is really important. Make sure that you make the club name visible in the community. How do you do that? You can use news releases, publish them regularly, announce club meetings, announce events, announce recognition things that members within your club have achieved. that makes for great news. And broadcasters are always looking for information. If you can make a reporter's job easy by feeding them information that they can use on in their publications or on radio and TV, that's going to help them and help you, and it's going to make them connect with you on a more regular basis to find out what's new. Other ways that you can invite membership growth. Well, invite newly licensed hams to your club meetings. You can find out who the new licensees are in your area by looking up online. You could look up by zip code or city. Have a membership drive to encourage your current members to recruit new ones. I'm sure that members of your organization know people that are also licensees, but they're not attending a meeting, maybe because they just simply don't know that the association exists. Mail your newsletter to area hams. Give them a special invitation to a future meeting, and put that newsletter on the internet or send it out via email. Other ways to encourage growth of your club: encourage your members to bring guests. Recruit new members, always. That's the key. There's always going to be churn. People leave the area, change jobs, find different interests, so you always want to be in a mode of recruiting new membership. Ask your members what they want. Survey them. Talk with them. Solicit feedback. Ask your members to list their favorite topics. Invite ideas for guest speakers and activities for the club. And by the way, too, ask them what they do not want. All these are important ways for you to get more people engaged with your club. The more they believe that you care about what they're looking for, the more engaged they'll become, the more likely they are to remain members, continue their membership, and invite other people. So find out what your members want. Just simply ask them, and have members evaluate and rate programs and speakers. At the end of the program, ask them what they felt. Maybe you have an online survey. You can use a QR code so people can respond right from their phone. By the way, check other clubs in the area, and not just ham clubs, but other associations that you may be a member of. Look for the names of good speakers. Find out who in your own club has a skill or talent or specialized knowledge that would make for a good program. Another important element of any club is recognition. Internal recognition. Recognition for your members. Spotlight certain members. Hand out awards and certificates. And they don't have to be very time-consuming or expensive. Just a paper certificate oftentimes is all you need to recognize an individual. It makes them feel proud, makes them feel engaged and valued. Then there's external PR. I showed you a clip a few moments ago from David Letterman, but it doesn't have to be national broadcast TV. Use your local public relations affiliates to help you promote your club in newspapers, on TV, and on radio. Here's another clip that was of a local club who had a local TV station come in and do a quick story. I'll show you a quick bit of that interview.
For most of us, the radio is something we listen to at home or in the car. But for a loyal group of amateur or ham radio operators, the communication medium is a connection to the world. In our Sunday morning spotlight, Michael Schlesinger visited members of the Fond du Lac Amateur Radio Club to see why they've remained faithful to their frequencies.
Bob Burrier goes by two names, his legal one and his call name as a ham operator.
Oftentimes you'll hear me say November to Tango Sierra, Quebec.
Bob tells me he's been at the controls for 30 years now.
My dad had been a ham, and so I got the bug and passed the test, and the rest is history.
His passion even led the way to him being president of the Fond du Lac Amateur Radio Club.
What's your QTH, over?
Overseeing 50 other enthusiasts just like him.
So it's a local TV station that covered that particular ham club. Media is hungry for content. So place a call to your local TV station. Ask them if they'd like to see what ham radio is all about. Let them know that it would be something of interest to their audience. Let's now talk about your board. Your board of directors is key. You want to be sure that in creating your board, you have a good cross-section of age groups on your board. Not just baby boomers. They tend to be the people who have the most time and maybe the most experience, but be sure that you also invite Gen Xers and Gen Yers and millennials to be on the board too. That gives you a great way to have good, fresh, new ideas that you probably hadn't even thought of. So be sure to recruit the younger hams to your board. Make them feel important. They bring unique experiences and they bring additional energy. And guess what too? They might invite their friends. Get their friends interested and excited in the hobby. And that will not only help the hobby, but help your club grow. Here's another idea for you. Sit among the rest of the membership. Oftentimes you'll find that a board of directors sits at the front of the room. That kind of isolates them. A better idea might be to have your board members sit among the rest of the membership. Feel so that everybody can feel like they're a part of the club. And when you communicate, and I mentioned before, communication is really important. So communicate regularly and use a multi-channel strategy. Here you see the Facebook page of the Orlando Amateur Radio Club. One thing you do want to do for sure is have a website that looks professional, that's updated fairly regularly. And because not everybody goes to websites, you want to be in multiple areas. So you want to be on Facebook. You want to use other social media. The fact is that not everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody is looking for websites to go to. So what you want to do is on your Facebook page, direct people to your website. You want to create a good email newsletter that, by the way, is very easy to create. Everybody checks their email all the time. They're not always on Facebook. They're not always looking for websites to go peruse, but everybody checks their email inbox every single day. So make sure that you use email marketing as an integral part of getting the word out about what your club or association is up to. And again, we're not just talking about ham clubs. We're talking about HOAs. Our local HOA started using email marketing a few years ago, and attendance at our meetings has gone up. People are much more involved because they see and hear from the group on a regular basis. So an email newsletter doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. This is an example from the Portage County Amateur Radio Service. And as you see here, there's just one or two articles in there. And that's really all it takes. Send it out on a monthly basis. That's more than sufficient. And if you need help understanding how email marketing works, one thing you should know is that email marketing's ROI, return on investment, is the highest of all marketing tools out there at 36 to 1. And email marketing is very affordable as well. It starts out at only $12 a month. So if you need help with that, if you're not sure where to get started, try this. Try Constant Contact free for 60 days. I mentioned earlier, I am Constant Contact's top worldwide trainer. I'm happy to help you out getting you or your club started, whether it's for your club, your association, or maybe your small business. So use that QR code or go to thebestemailoffer.com. Thebestemailoffer.com. That'll link you up with me. I will help you get started. You'll get free training. And again, it's free for 60 days. There's no credit card required. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. My name's Ken Countess. My company is kenisemail.com. I've been a constant contact partner for over 12 years, but no matter what email marketing service you're considering using, I can help you. We have packages to help you get started, help you get the most out of email marketing, and I look forward to hearing from you. Let me know what you thought about this video. Send an email to me, and let's have a conversation. Thanks so much for watching. And don't forget to check out my podcast. It's the Everything Email Podcast. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, Google, my website, anywhere you find your podcasts. Thanks once again for watching, and we'll look forward to hearing from you soon.